Hello, everyone, and welcome back. As always, I'm your girl, Candy Washington. And before we dive into today's episode, which is Kyle Richards seemingly confirming our conspiracy theory. If you are a new Candy Cane, you may not have heard it yet, but our returning Candy Canes definitely have heard this theory that we have regarding the real reason why Kyle Richards has split from hubby Mauricio Umansky, and surprise, it has nothing to do with cheating. So before we dive in, go ahead and like, subscribe, and share. So this is from Reality Blurb. It says Kyle Richards shed new light on what prompted her separation from Mauricio Umansky with a series of posts shared to her Instagram story over the weekend. Months after the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills couple split was first confirmed, and as Kyle and Mauricio reunited with their daughters for some family time at the Los Angeles The Grove, Kyle reshared messages posted by a viewer who suspected the 2022 death of her best friend Lorene negatively impacted her marriage. Please click on this and swipe through these posts. Everyone knew I was dealing with this. For whatever reason, it wasn't shown on camera yet. This will be addressed very soon. Kyle wrote in a caption of a December 3rd post on her Instagram story, which featured a screenshot of another post. In a message shared by your Bish therapist, the person behind the account shared their assessment of the moments that led up to Kyle and Mauricio's separation. Quote, "This is my intuition about what is happening with Kyle. I believe she experienced depression and anxiety following the taking of one's own life of her best friend, Lorene," they wrote. "This loss was significant due to the closeness of the relationship and the nature of her death. Losing someone as a result of a mental health crisis will rock your world, and in some cases, your sense of self. I believe Kyle is experiencing survivor's guilt and carrying some shame, blame that isn't hers to carry." Side note, that's what's on the screen. We had this very same theory months ago. I believe we came up with this theory maybe in the summer or before summer. We did a deep dive into what I thought was the real reason behind Kyle's meltdown and freakouts. I will link that video in the description box for you guys to go back and watch. But basically, what I said was that Kyle, once she realized that her best friend Lorene had passed away by her own hand, something in her cracked. And she started to have this sort of identity shift, like, who am I? What am I? Am I happy? Where am I in my life? And I think it was also compounded by the fact that season 12 was a really hard season for her. Everything that happened with Kathy, Kyle being exposed, not being a fan favorite, realizing that she's not a fan favorite, everything happening with her family. And then also on top of that, the cheating rumors. I don't think that the cheating rumors is the number one reason why she split from Mauricio. I do think it's because of what she was going through, because of what happened to her friend. But on top of that, there's been cheating rumors from Mauricio for over a decade. But it was also that he was cheating with Dorit, who is one of her best friends and co-stars. So it's a different type of cheating rumor. It's one thing for your husband to be allegedly cheating with, some hot young thing down the street, or, somebody he picked up, or maybe he's somebody he doesn't know. But to have a rumor that he's cheating with your best friend and that he's cheating with your coworker, that's a different level of betrayal, and to have the whole world talk about it and speculate on it. So I think that there were a lot of factors leading up to sort of Kyle's either midlife crisis or identity crisis, and she's also still in the grieving process. But I do believe that the catalyst for her breakdown and the demise of her marriage has been, what happened to her friend, unfortunately succumbing to her mental health illnesses and taking her own life, and Mauricio not knowing how to support her. Because when you're in those moments of deep grief and shock, you don't always know how to communicate to the people that you love how you need to be supported, because sometimes you don't even know how you need to be supported. And sometimes you take out your anger and your frustration on the people you love the most. So let's keep going. In another screenshot of your Bish therapist post shared by Kyle, the person suggested that the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills cast members' marriage was likely impacted due to Mauricio's inability to be there for her in a way where she needed him to be. After this loss, I believe she expected emotional support from Mo that he was incapable and unwilling to provide. I think this left Kyle feeling disappointed, resentful, and betrayed due to her years of commitment and dedication to the marriage, they stated. I believe Kyle felt so many intensely painful and scary emotions that she realized she needed to do something with it, and she desperately wanted to avoid unhealthy coping mechanisms due to her family history of addiction. I agree with that. And that's why I was saying she stopped drinking. She's now hyper focused on her weight, and exercising and what she's eating. And then she's also doing attention seeking behavior, losing a lot of weight, this sort of fake lesbian relationship with Morgan Wade, getting all of that, the tattoos, being very snappy, pushing boundaries, particularly going off on her mother-in-law, Mo's mother, we saw in a couple episodes ago. This is all attention seeking behavior where you're basically screaming, pay attention to me, pay attention to me, pay attention to me, without actually saying, pay attention to me. It's like when teenagers rebel. It's like a rebellion phase, right? I'm going to get tattoos. I'm going to lose a ton of weight, doing everything I can to get you to see me and to pay attention to me. It's all a bunch of attention seeking behavior. And people do this when they're grieving and they don't know how to communicate what their needs are. Okay, so the account goes on to say, although Kyle's resharing the message seemed to suggest she agreed in full, she clarified that she felt her now estranged husband simply didn't know how to console her after Lorraine's passing. However, I do believe Mo tried to be there for me, although I'm not sure anyone knew exactly how to be, she explained. As she left her fans and followers into what may have caused her and Mauricio to take time apart, Kyle reunited with Mauricio and her 4 daughters, including Farah, Alexia, Sophia, and Portia. Now, this is the thing. I have said I think that Kyle and Mauricio will reconcile. I give it 3 to 6 months. I think Kyle has probably gotten more therapy. I think now that time has passed, maybe she's on a more healing path. And I think that the reality of, wait a minute, I really am blowing up my life. I really am separated from my husband. The next step would actually be divorce. I think now that reality is kind of setting in and the shock of the loss of her friend is wearing off, I think that she's probably going to try to work things out with Mauricio. I don't think that they're going to get divorced. I think that they will reconcile in 3 to 6 months. I think she's going to continue to go to therapy. Hopefully they go to couples therapy. And I think they're going to work on their communication. I don't see them actually ever separating. But again, like I said, this was and by our, I mean over here at a Candy Cane Gang, this was our exact theory on why Kyle split from Mauricio. We have been saying this for months, but it seemed as though she has finally confirmed it. So I want to know what you guys think. Do you think this is the real reason for their split? Kyle kind of breaking a bit given that her longtime childhood friend unfortunately took her own life, and then it's sort of spiraling out of control? Or do you think no, it was over the cheating, or no, it's because she wants to protect her money and her assets? Because also, as we know, Mauricio is facing so many lawsuits. The agency is being sued left and right for not just a little bit of money, but for millions and millions and millions of dollars. One lawsuit is $25 million. Another lawsuit is $32 million. So there is speculation that this whole separation is sort of a Erica Jane, Tom Girardi situation where it's like, let's say we're separated, so I can put assets and money and property in my name, and hopefully those won't get seized if, you lose these lawsuits and you owe millions and millions of dollars. It's their way to protect their money and their assets and their properties. That's also an idea. But I personally think that the crux of it is Kyle sort of breaking when what happened to her friend happened. And then we also did a deep dive on how Kyle has responded to other people, particularly Sutton Strack and Lisa Vanderpump, who also lost loved ones. Lisa Vanderpump lost her brother to mental illness. Sutton Strack lost her father to mental illness. And what I mean by that is Sutton's father and Lisa Vanderpump's brother also unfortunately took their own lives. And so there's that, and how Kyle has sort of treated them in the past. We did a deep dive on that as well, so be sure to check that video out. But before you do, go ahead and like, subscribe, and share, and let me know your thoughts. What do you think about the state of Kyle and Mauricio's marriage? And do you think they will reconcile, or do you think, no, this is it, they're going to get divorced, and it's a wrap? So put it down below, and be sure to like, subscribe.